Welcome back, students. So let's get quickly started with Python. We achieved so far that we have been able to create a login. I recorded late, Moomin was here, so that made me record this lecture late, but yeah, you'll be getting this on time. Now you can clearly see that we have created a professional design, which is model, view and controller based design. I would rather go back and show you what we have done yesterday. We created a view, we created a model, and we created a controller, right? And we said that now you can clearly see the view is here, right? The view is setting the username and setting the password and calling the accounts controller class, or calling the accounts controller method, which is login, and everything happens inside this login method, and then you get the message back. Now today what are we going to do? Today we are going to create another class, right? So this is going to be define. So I am going to define, right? For example, this is the method send to database, and this is going to accept object users, and it's the private method that I'm creating. Let's say pass for the time being. The second thing that I'm creating, so I'll say define, right, is valid. So this function is going to validate the input from the user, and let's say for the sake pass, and encapsulation will happen here. I will define another function as save. So now this is my main function save, and this main function save is going to encapsulate send to database, and it's going to encapsulate this also. Let me go ahead and save this file as, right? So now I'll save this as register.py. So now this is going to be register.py, and we already have login.py. If I open login.py, so this is my login view, right? And this is my register view, right? So we are importing users, we are importing accounts controller, and now what we have to do right here, we have to take the data, right? Now we have to take data from the user. So I'll say user registration, and I'll just delete this, right? And now I'll just say please write, or please choose your username. And the second thing that I'll be doing, please write, we can say please create a new password, right? Right? And I'll say u dot set, right? I can say set f name, and we will say let me copy this so that please create a new password, and please write your username, right? And let me make it a bit user friendly. Okay, and now I will say please write your last name. All right, I can say please write your email ID, right? So now I have a password, and this is going to be please choose your username, please choose your username, please create a new password, please write your contact, or let me keep it simple. Okay, let's have it. Okay, please write your contact number, and here we will do set contact, and here we will do set right, where is first name? Okay, let me have first name instead of contact. First name, right? And here I will say write your last name, email ID. So now let me edit this. So f name, set l name, set email, right? Now you are setting username, password, first name, last name, email. All right. Now after you're setting it up, let me go ahead and validate it, because I'm not taking all. You can just go and take all at home. You have to take it. Now is valid, right? We have here is valid login. So this is going to work with login, and now we have is valid. Now I'll say if user dot get, okay, it's not user, it is users, right? If users dot get fname, right? So I'll say if users dot get fname is not equivalent to null, and right, users dot get lname, right? So you can say if users dot get lname is not equivalent to empty, and so you can just keep on adding and users dot we can say get first name, last name, user name, right? So I'll say dot get username is not equivalent to empty, and users dot get password is not equivalent to empty. It's a function, get password, and users dot get email is not equivalent to empty. So I'll just keep it simple right here. I don't require this. So I'll say if users dot get fname and right, I can say it here, and user dot get lname not equivalent to empty, and user dot get username not equivalent to empty, and user dot get password is not equivalent to empty, and user dot get email is not equivalent to empty. Now I'll close if here. I'll do this else, right? Or I can simply go inside if and say return if it's not equivalent to empty, return true, and now if they are empty, return false, right? It's as simple as anything. You're checking that all the values that you're taking from the user should not be empty. And what else did we forget? Did we forget to take anything? I'll have to go back and see. Yeah, we have taken, let's go to the structure. User ID, no, we don't have to take user ID. First name, last name, username, password, email is taken. Contact is also taken. No, contact, date and address. So this is not taken. You can take them if you want to take them. All right. If you want to take them, so let's take all of them. Let's take all of them. I'll go to register. I'll say this, and set email, and then I'll say set contact, set address, right? What else more? Address is taken, contact is taken, email is taken, password, username, first name and last name is taken. So I'll say please enter your contact number, and I can say please write your address, right? So please enter your address and please enter your contact number. Both are done. Alright, so now I'll go to accounts.py and I will say, right, and users dot get email get contact is not equivalent to empty, and users dot get address is not equivalent to empty, then return true or return false. Date is going to come automatically, so don't worry about date. Why are we having this? So I'll say we are getting an error right here. So let me see this. And okay, let me just expand this and user, okay, it's and let me expand it, and user dot get email, get contact and get address, right? If they are not equivalent to empty, then return true, else return false. Now what we need to do, send data to the database, right? So now how do you send data to the database. We already know that how to send data to the database. We already use cursor, we already use connection, so we'll be using the same methodology that we used earlier or that we used the day before, right? So I'll directly go and say, right, so I will say cursor, right, is equivalent to connection, right, dot, so we have this connection right here, underscore connection. So I'll use the same connection, self dot connection, right? So I can use this connection, right, and I will say dot. So cursor goes out to cursor, cursor, right? So I'm calling the cursor. Alright, so I'll pass self here. Alright, so now we get that cursor is not used, right? It has been assigned but never used, so we will be using it now. I can say cursor dot execute and I will write the query, right? If you want to apply string formatting, you will even apply string formatting, right? Let me make a query just like this. So for example, I have to make a query. I can say query, query is equal to, let's start making a query, insert, right? I can say into magic quotes users values, and now go and start inserting whatever you want to insert, right? I can say the first value that I have to insert is the following. So I'll say single quote, and I'll go with this brace right here, right? And I can say user dot get user or user dot get f name. The first is user dot get f name. So you can apply formatting even here. So you can have f before here, and this formats. Now you can say print query. So we'll have to see. So let me call this, right? So I can call this, I'll say if self dot, okay, I'll have to keep self here as well, right? And all right, so I'll say if self dot send to database and pass the object users. If it returns true, so I'll say pass. That's it. I'm just checking the query, whether the query will be successful or not, whether this format applied is successful or not. So let me go back to register now and call acc dot, right, save. So I'll call this acc dot save function, and similarly I will pass this u object here. So let's see what we are getting. Please choose your username. I'll say FAHIM. Please choose create a password. I'll say pass. Please write your first name, right? Please write your last name, email ID, right? Contact number, address, right? So now we get this error. The name user is not defined. I'm sorry, I had to type users because the object here is users dot get fname, and it's a function. I forgot this. So let me go ahead and try this again. All right, so I can say go back to register and say please choose a username. I'll say Fahim, pass. User object has no attribute get f name. Why do I do this again? Get f name is capital, f is capital, and n is small. Right, I'll have to, I don't know. I'll go to register again. Alright, so because I'm testing for F name only, so let me get only the F names so that I get to know the formatting, right? So I'll say FAHIM, Control C, so I'll run it again. Alright, so I'll just use it. What happened? Something is wrong here, so I'll say stop. And I don't know what happened. Something wrong in here. So clear console, stop. Removing all variables. Restart kernel. It's hung. Alright, so we have to restart the kernel. Alright, so now we have restarted the kernel. Now let's run again. Please write your first name. I'll say Fahim. Insert into user values, and then I get this. Then you can clearly see that it's formatted nicely. So I'll use the same formatting right here for all. Alright. But once registering, you should know. Once you are registering, you should know the precedence. For example, first is user ID. So what will I do? Right. So the first thing that I am going to supply is null. Why did I supply null? Because I know that this user ID is auto incremented. I don't need to supply it, right? And then I supplied, right, users.get fname, right? And the second value that I will be supplying is within this, right? And the third value that I'll be supplying is within this. Fourth value, I'm using the format here. And the fifth value I will be supplying is within this. Sixth value I'll be supplying is within this. And the last but not the least. So I will say users.get. So this is what we have to supply. After first name, we have get L name. And then we have users.get username. Then we have users.get user. Then we have username, and then we have users.get password, users.get email, alright, users.get email. What's after email? Contact, date, and now you can see date. So for date, I will supply something like this. So I'll say CURRENT current underscore date. And then let me see how do you supply it. I will say select CURR, because this date has to get automatically updated. That's why I supply the current date module here. This is the SQL current date being supplied, right? And what comes after the date is address, right? So I will go, and after current date, I will use the same in single quotes, comma, and then they'll say user.get address. Now let me print and see how it goes, right? So let me print the query here. Right, so let me go to register.py and start. Okay, I'll say Fahim is my first name. First name is Fahim Khan, FAHIM@gmail.com, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, and address NIT Srinagar, Residency Road. Now you can see insert into user values null Fahim Khan, right? And username, password, email, contact, current underscore date, and the address, right? So let me just copy this and run it so that we know that the query is right before I go ahead with the cursor I'll say run, and now you can say one row has been inserted successfully. Now you can clearly see this is the row that's been inserted successfully. I'll delete it. Maybe I'll have to re-register it, right? Alright, now let's carry on, because everything else is fine now in accounts controller. I don't need to print it. Right now I can say cursor dot execute, and I take the query to execute the cursor. Right now you can see everything here is used, nothing is unused, right? Alright, so nothing is unused here, everything here is used, right? So now once we are running execute query, are we going to fetch anything? No, I don't think we are going to fetch anything. That is why I will keep it inside try. I'll say try to execute the code, because this may raise an exception if the code already exists. So this is except means exception, right? You are going to catch the exception, right? So we can say except exception as E, right? And here I will say users dot set message as E. User dot set message as E. Now if anything goes wrong here, so we will get this message right here, and every single thing is fine. If everything goes fine, return true, and if there is a problem, you can say return false, right? So why do I terminate it? Because I have to keep true capital and I'll have to keep false capital as well. Now call the cursor, make the connection, execute, format. Why did I use F here? Because I'm using curly braces user.get username has to get converted. That's why we're using string formatting right here, right? So what are we going to use here is basically the formatting. So that's why I put F here, so that each and everything is formatted to the correct order. Then I say cursor.execute and I pass the same query and say return true. If everything goes fine, you return true. If there is a problem, then you can do is return false. In that case, if there is any sort of problem, then return false. ठीक है, तुमको ना okay, right? So now what we are doing here, everything goes fine, then we are returning true. If there is any problem, we are returning false, right? The only new thing that we did today was formatted it, and that's it. Okay, the second thing that I will be doing here is, right, if this is not the first thing that we will run, I will say if, right, and I'll call if self dot is valid, right? I'll say if self dot is valid, then do this, and if there's any problem in validation, right, I will say else if there's any problem in validating the data, right, you will do one thing. So you say user dot or users dot set message, so as simple as anything, please, so we can say PLEASE, please fill in all the fields, right? And now if validation is correct, the second thing that I will do is if self dot is, if self dot, what is that? If self dot send to database and pass the object users, right? If self dot send to database returns true, right? if this also returns true, then do this. Say user dot set message. So I can say users dot set message user, right? And you can format this as well. So I can say format this user, right? This, what is the user? Users dot get, right? User name, right? Was registered successfully. User, right? Was a regist, that something, right? The username that you have entered was registered successfully, and you'll format this. And now in case if there is a problem, right? If there's a problem, if the username that you have entered, right, sent to database is returned any error, so you don't have to type else here because you're already using else here. Sent to database is using except block, right, to set the message. You cannot set the message twice, so without else we will use it. So we don't need to use an else. So why don't we require to use else block right here? Is user.setMessage, right, is here, right? Because if send to database gets error, or if the query is not successful, right? If it returns false, before returning false, we are setting the message. And what is the message? The exception code, the reason of the exception, right? So let's try. Now save and go to register, and I will try. Right, invalid token. So we have some error right here. Is invalid token. Is valid takes one positional argument. So is valid takes one positional argument. Yeah, we have to keep self here as well. So now let's execute it. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, right? Please enter your address. So now if you enter everything fine, so let me run it again. If you don't enter anything, so we should get, right, is valid function is here. If self dot is valid function, right, if it returns false, if it is not equivalent to empty, and if it is not equivalent to empty, and let's say about user.get username is not equivalent to empty, user.get PSSWRD is not equivalent to empty, and user.get email is not equivalent to empty, and user.get contact is not equivalent to empty, and user.get address is not equivalent to empty. In that case, you return true. If it's not, else return false. So if is valid, so that's what you do here when you call save. If self dot is valid, so did we call save? Yeah, we have called save, and we did not print the message. I'll say print acc, right, or u dot get message, right? So that's why we didn't get the message, right? What are we doing here? We're printing basically the message that we are setting here. User dot set message. Please fill in all the fields. Will be printed only when is valid returns false. If is valid returns false, else is going to run. And here you're setting the message back to the users. That's what you are displaying here. User dot get message, right? So let's say enter your username. So we'll not enter anything. So we get the message. Please fill in all the fields. So now, for example, if I fill in all the fields and I start registering, for example, Shahid, right? And the password of Shahid is password, right? Shahid. Right, so I can say Khan, email ID shhid at gmail.com, right? Contact number is this, address is Lal Chowk, Srinagar, Kashmir. So I'll enter. User Shahid was registered successfully. Now I'll go ahead and see whether the user Shahid has been registered. Now you can see, yeah, Shahid Khan. You can clearly see this. Go to Python test and go to users. Right, and I can clearly see that the user Shahid has been. Why did I give it 3? Because 3 was empty. Shahid Khan, password shahid@gmail.com, and it's been registered on 14th. Now you can say that current date and time is already working. What did we see? And what did we do here? Alright, you can clearly see. Instead of date, what are we doing here? Okay. Insert. Where is the insert query? Where did I run that? Okay, it's here. Send to database. Now you can clearly see here we are using current underscore date to set the date today. So this is going to be the today date set whenever user will try and register. Let's try and give Shahid again. Let's see if I give duplicate now, will I be able to catch the exception or not? So I'll say Shahid, password is password, right? Okay, we go to login, I'll have to go to register. Alright, so I'll say SHAHID Shahid. Is Shahid capital here or small? Yeah, Shahid Khan is the username, so I'll say Shahid, and the password is going to be password. Right, first name is Shahid Khan, email ID is shahid@gmail.com, right, contact number is, address is NIIT. So now you can see user Shahid was registered. No, it's not getting registered. We're getting a false positive here. So user Shahid is not getting registered. So that is an error. Right. So why are we getting this sort of error right here? So we'll have to see why are we getting this error right here. So that's basically the problem, right? Because we're getting an error and we don't know why are we getting this error, right? Have we executed? Yes, we have executed this. Okay, let's see if I can print. Let's print query and see why are we getting the error. Let's save and see why are we getting an error here. Register, run, SHAHID, KHEN, SHAHID, KHEN, write something, SHAHID, Shahid@gmail.com, contact number, address. So now let's see. Insert into users values null, Shahid Khan. Okay, let's see why are we getting an error here, or maybe we're getting an error in executing the query, right? So we will have to judge it and see. So there's no error here, I suppose. So let it get executed, or let it execute what it has to execute first. All right. Why is it taking too much of time? All right. So maybe we have to commit. We did not commit. Right, we did not commit. Okay, something is wrong here, so I'll just go ahead and write the SQL query again, write it again. I don't know, something is wrong here. We did not commit. Okay, maybe we are making this mistake here because this is an insert query. This is not some other query. This is the plain insert query. Let me stop MySQL and start back, and what I'll do, I'll add one more code here. Alright, if everything goes fine, right, if everything goes fine after execution, what I do, I will say the connection which is right here. So I will commit this. I'll say let's say about connection dot co, right, MMIT commit, right? So we are committing this, right? And I will say if the commit is done, cursor dot close down the cursor, right? What error is this? Undefined name connection. Yeah, it's self dot connection, right, instead of connection. Alright, so now everything is fine. Let me go ahead and start registering. Shahid is already there, so we will register. Let's say Imran. Is Imran there or not? Imran is not there. Yeah. Okay, let's register Imran and password is password. IMRAN, Imran. Okay, Imran has a capital I, right? Remember this. Last name is Khan. IMRAN, Imran at gmail.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So NIIT. So user Imran was registered successfully. Let's go and browse whether we are getting Imran. Yeah, Imran has been registered successfully. Now you clearly see that user Imran has been registered successfully and date has been committed automatically. Now what will happen if I try and enter duplicate Imran? So for example, IMRAN Imran. Okay, our password is password. So this is data duplicacy. So it's IMRAN Imran. KHAN Khan, Imran, IMRANKHAN @gmail.com. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Address NIIT RESI. Alright, so now you can get the error duplicate entry for Imran. Now you can clearly see that you have duplicate entry for Imran, right? So I'll just delete this print query from here and let me run it again now. Alright, so I'll say WASEEM Wasim. Password is password. WS Wasim, but email WSEEM Wasim @gmail.com. Right, try and register, and or we can say Karanagar, Srinagar. Right, so user Wasim was registered successfully. Now let's go to login and try and log in using the same credentials. So WASEEM Wasim and password. Wasim is logged in because we just registered Wasim. We also registered Shahid. So I'll say SHAHID Shahid, and password is password. Incorrect username is and password. So now maybe Khan, SHAHID Shahid. Okay. Shahid Khan and password. Okay, username is Shahid Khan. You can clearly see here. And we have Imran as well, so we can use Imran. So if you want to use SHAH Shahid Khan and password. So Shahid Khan is logged in. So now if I try and log in again, I'll say IMRAN Imran. Password is password. Imran is logged in, right? So this is your registration. Right, screen done. So already crossed 37. Now what if I want to update something, right? So for that we have to understand how do we write query to update, right? So update query is already there. So now what you can do, you can write each and every query of yours, right? For example, you want to delete some user. So I'll go ahead and make a new file. Right, this is the presentation logic, and this will be the presentation logic for deleting anyone. For example, I want to remove anyone, right? I want to remove myself, right? So I'll say, please enter your username, right? Remove account. I'll do the same here. Please write your username, please write your password. If they match, I will call a function known as remove. If they match, only when they match, I will remove you. If they don't match, I am not going to remove you. And now I'll get the message. Now I'll have to call the function remove here. I'll go ahead in accounts controller and I'll save this as delete del user. I'll immediately go to the accounts controller and I'll make a function right here. Alright, so I'll go ahead and make a function. Alright, so I'll say define, alright, remove, and it's going to take one parameter users. Right, first I will say, hey, if I'll call this is authentic, I'll say whether you have entered username or password or not. If it is authentic, then carry on, right? If it is authentic, if the username and password exists, or first thing that I'll do is valid, because is valid checks for username and password, and I'll have to check whether the username and password exists. If it exists, right, the second thing that I will do here, if it exists, or if username and password has actually typed something, right, that is the first thing. If it is done, then the second thing is, right, if the username is authentic that you have typed, right, if the username that you have typed is authentic, means the username and password exists in the database, right? So I'll go to else here. The first else will say users.set message. Please write a username and a password, right? And if it is authentic, so I will call another function right here. And if it is not authentic, so I'll use else here, all right? And I will say users.set message user name, right? User with these credentials, right? And does not exist. So user with these credentials actually do not exist. Now if everything goes fine, I will create a private function here. I will say define del user, and I will pass users right here, and I will say simple, as simple as anything. Make an object of cursor, write a query, commit the query, and close the cursor. I'll do the same here, right? I'll just copy this try and catch block, and I will follow the same in here, right? So let me go ahead and type the same. So this is try and this is accept cursor, and instead of writing this query, so now I cannot write insert into user values here because I don't have to insert anything. I'll have to delete the user. Now I'll say format for me, delete, and from the table name users, right? What do you want to delete? Where username, right, is equal, delete from user, delete everything from user, right, where username is equal to, that's formatted, the username that's being supplied to you, as simple as anything. Users dot get, right, username. So this is what you have to delete, right? Users dot get username. So delete this. So this is your query. Execute, commit, close the connection, return true or return false. Now if it returns true, right, so I'll use this here. I'll simply say if the function del user, after I pass users variable to this, if it returns true, right, okay, then you do one thing right here, okay, you say user dot set message user, and the type of the user, users dot get username, right? And why did I even close it down here? User, and with user dot get username, format this, right? User dot get username was deleted successfully. So let's see now. All right, so now let's run it. Delete user. Now which user do you want to delete? Right, so I'll go and see which user, what happened, remove, save, right? So enter your username, FHIN, password, incorrect username or password. So let's run. Delete, we have an error. User.set message, please write. Accounts controller PY line number, you please write a message and the password has an error. Please, okay, I did not enclose the quote here, so I'll close this quote. Go back to delete user, right, remove account, right, you can get it, or remove account, enter the username, so I will say IMRA and Imran, and password is password. Now remove takes 2 arguments. Don't tell me I forgot to have self. Yeah, this self has to be here, right? If no, sorry, remove has to have self is valid, is authentic, and delete user. Del user is not having self also. All right, So now it's is valid a login. Why does it have an error? Undefined name if self dot is valid login. I forget this every time. If self and if self dot del user, because I'm calling del user, which is here. Alright, so now let's go back to delete user and run it. Please write your username. So I will say something wrong. User with these credentials do not exist. I'll say okay, I'll provide right credentials to remove an account. Imran has to be removed. Alright, okay, it's D password PASSWOR D remove. Alright, so it's not taking it again. What happened? Okay, let me rerun it and see how it goes. Or maybe I'll have to restart the kernel again. Something is wrong here. Alright, exported, so let me run. Please write your username, IMRAN Imran, and password is password. It gets hung. Alright, so it's hung. I don't know why. I'll have to check why is it hung. Hang. Delete from user. So let me say cursor.execute. Self.connection cursor.close return true. I'll have to execute this query, so I'll say print query and see how it goes. So I'll stop. Alright, so I'll stop this and rerun it. So something is causing an exception, but I'm not getting what is causing an exception right here. Self.connection.cursor and close. So delete. Alright, so I'll run it again and see what error basically do I get. So just let me delete this and see whether the query is right or wrong. So I'll say IMRAN and password as password. Right, so you can say Imran. Select delete from user. So where username is equal to Imran. So now if I run this query, I'll say browse. Imran is still there, so if I run this query, do I have an error here in the query? No, one row is affected, so query is not wrong. Imran has been removed. Something is wrong in the context here. I don't need to print this, so query is absolutely right. So there's nothing wrong with the query. So I'll say cursor.execute query. So maybe we're not inserting. Right, so let's not say comment and close down the cursor, right? Or we can go to finally block. We have already learned try, except, and finally. So finally is going to run whether the query is successful or the query is not successful. I'm going to close, right? I'm going to close this cursor here. So let me see now how it goes. Wasim and the password is password. Alright, so it doesn't give us anything. Now let's see whether the Wasim has been removed or not. I'll say browse. Wasim is basically the first name. W-A-S-E, Wasim, and password is the password, right? Okay, let's try again. We call this remove function. Alright, closing the cursor and returning false user.setMessage E. And now if everything goes fine, okay, we forgot to return true. So we can say RETUR and return true here. Alright, okay, let's see again. Now I return true. go to delete user and say Wasim, and the password is password. User Wasim was deleted successfully. And was Wasim deleted successfully? No, user Wasim is still there, right? Alright, so I'll go to my accounts controller and I say, so I can say self.connection.commit. It's just like transaction commit, alright? So it's basically COMMIT commit. Alright, so let's run it again, delete user, and we have to delete. Okay. What is wrong here? Indentation. Alright. Enter, you remove account, enter your username, Wasim, and password is password. Wasim was deleted successfully. It is not going to happen, I suppose, now. Yeah, now Wasim has been deleted successfully. Now we are doing it right? Everything is happening now, okay, so we don't have any problem. Now if I try and delete Wasim again for the third time, so I'll say enter the username, I'll say Wasim, WSEM, and password is password. So now user with these credentials does not exist. Now if I try and delete another user from here, Majid Khan will be deleted. I'll say MAGID Majid Khan, and password is password. So now, right, it does not exist because Majid Khan's password is Majid password, right? So I'll copy this password right here and run it again. You want to delete MAGID KHAN, Majid password. User Majid Khan was deleted successfully. Now if I try these credentials once again, Majid and MAGID Majid Khan, so you can say, alright, sorry, MAGID Majid and MAGID KHAN. So you can see user M. Okay, we still have, I'm pasting something, I'm doing Control P, MAGID PSS. So you can see name M is not defined, del user by PY. Okay, I have written M here. Where does this M come from? I don't know. Alright, so let's write it again. MAGID and password is password. User with these credentials does not exist. So we have only one thing. If we're talking of CRUD operation, create, retrieve, update, and delete. So delete is done, retrieve is done, login, and create is done, registration. Now we have only one thing pending, which is update. That's going to be another 30 minutes class before we move to data sciences, right? So I wish you all the best. Do watch the lecture and practice. Let me know if you can help you or if you're having any error. Bye bye, take care.